I was thinking of projects that I'm going to be needing in the future, or things that I might be needing in the future, and a Covenant Wraith came on the top of the list. Welcome guys back to another Matty Crafts video. In today's video we're going to be making one of the most iconic vehicles in Halo, Covenant Wraith, out of styrofoam of course. So I'm using Pink Panther foam here and just breaking up a ton of little templates that I've already pre-cut out off screen, and I'm just going to be carving and cutting those out to get this started. I'm also doubling up the thickness of the main body piece of the Wraith by adding another layer of Pink Panther foam. Then I'm coming in here with my knife and a Sharpie, and I'm just going to be carving and cutting how I think the Wraith should look. There's a ton of cutting that went involved into this and a lot of work, so this is an absolutely epic and fun project. After that was finished, I started with the inlay of the Wraith itself. There's always this underlayer area that has kind of a poke-in effect, so I had to cut that to size. I'm also going to be beveling the edges here with my X-Acto blade and sanding them later to make them nice and smooth. Now we're starting on one of the wing parts, the front wings. And I just had a little template that I cut out, and then I cut it out of styrofoam and traced it over. Once that was finished, I started beveling the edges as well, and I cut it in half. Making this Wraith was a challenge in a lot of different ways. I haven't made something this big with styrofoam in a long time, and I wanted to make some parts that were actually a little bit unique to it. I made a movable turret and a movable cockpit on it, and honestly I think it looks amazing. Now I'm just coming here with the back wings and just beveling the edges as well, and cutting that also down a little bit. Once I was finished, I used some dollar store foam core and attached them to each side of the wings, and then I also traced out where I thought the Wraith would look a little bit better, and I cut those areas out. Sometimes when you're working on things, you get a little bit too far ahead of yourself and you just need to step back and cut away a little bit more. I glued on each one of the wings on each side and also the other parts of the wings as well. Started to give it a lot of shape at that point. I'm using an old paint bottle here, apple barrel paint. After I was done cleaning it out, this is going to be the turret. So this is just going to allow me to have it spin on the inside and be able to put a figure inside as well. Basically just put it on top of the Wraith, found the center and traced it out. Used a small blade to get everything kind of carved out how I needed it. And then I took some needle nose pliers and just started ripping away from the inside. It took me about 5 or 10 minutes to really do this. I took my time so I didn't ruin the area around. Then I just glued it up and stuck it right inside. Perfect. Fits the Marine just fine, and any other Covenant. I also made a thin piece of paper and glued it, and then I also traced that around, and that's going to be the interior of the actual turret. I left a little nub on one side so I could glue on the rest of the turret later on, just by attaching some small pieces that I made off screen. And boom, turret was pretty much done. Also added a piece of dollar store foam core on the top just to make it seem a little bit thicker. Now for the cockpit. I had to trace out pretty much the same exact way I did for the gunner's seat, and just cutting and scoring and then taking my needle nose pliers and getting in there and removing a ton of styrofoam. I left it a little bit too small on purpose so I could make it so the cockpit comes out and in, or comes off and comes on and snaps into place pretty well. And then I also started on one of the side pieces on the upper part next to the turret. Started to cut this out just with my small little X-Acto knife here. So that was finished. I glued it right on and stuck a piece of tape down so I didn't have to hold it for 3 or 4 minutes. Did the same thing on the other side. And now I started adding little bits of detail all around the Wraith just to give it a little bit more character and make it seem a little bit more like it's out of the game and less like just a piece of styrofoam. Then I took off a big chunk in the back, started to carve away on that. Added some of these pillars on the side and these other shapes, and then I beveled those edges as well. Now we're getting onto the back. I need to cut out this back piece right here just to make space for the actual Wraith turret itself, or the Wraith cannon I should say. So I had to cut this out, and originally I wanted to make it so it could actually move and function and go in and out like it does in the video game, but I wasn't able to do that this time around. Maybe with my next one I'll figure it out. Carving the turret here was really simple, just a small little piece, and connecting it to another piece of Pink Panther foam. Dollar store foam core for the sides, and this is just going to be those little wings that come out on each side. Put a cross section in the middle, and I glued them right on. Once that was done, I also added a little bit of paper on the top just like it is in the game, and some in the back to make it seem a little bit more flush, and it was about ready to be placed on. Stuck a little piece of Pink Panther foam down there just to give it a little bit of a height advantage, and then I added some glue and then placed it right on. Hopefully in the future I'll figure out a way to make it actually move, but for now this is the best I could do, and I think it still looks really good. Now we're carving away these sections on the side that are going to go right next to the Wraith cannon. Those are finished, I just glued them right on. Looking pretty good. After that, there's these little engraves on each side, so I carved those out on each side of the Wraith. Add as much detail as I possibly could to this, and then I wanted to beef up the back with a few layers of dollar store foam core, so I just placed them on with some glue and then carved them out. Now I needed to make the little back piece that you can go and punch in the game to destroy the Wraith. I didn't put a ton of time and detail into this specific area, just because this video kind of needed to come out, so I just did this little nub in the back, but I still think it looks good. Then we're using some Mod Podge all the way around, and sadly this didn't turn out exactly as planned, but the Mod Podge makes it a little bit stronger and sturdier, so this Wraith will probably last way longer than any other kind of styrofoam thing that you use without Mod Podge. So definitely a little bit of advantage using Mod Podge as a base layer coat, and helps keep it together for longer. Then we moved on to spray paint, and I kind of messed up by doing this. The spray paint actually ate away at some of the styrofoam. I thought the Mod Podge was going to prevent that, but sadly it didn't. So this Wraith had a little bit of some plasma burns or maybe some war damage. The turret definitely got fried a little bit, but all in all, it still turned out pretty good. I went over it with another thing of glossy purple paint just to give it a little bit more of a shine to it. I went on with some gray on the sides, and that's pretty much it, guys. That's my Halo 3 Wraith, and I hope you enjoyed. Alright guys, here it is, the Halo 3 Wraith, and there were some slight problems that happened during the painting, and basically I did a double coat of Mod Podge, which is this stuff right here, and normally when I do Mod Podge, or I've heard from other people that have done it before, that actually seals the styrofoam way more and it allows you to spray paint really easily without having like any burning or melting effects. Well, I did a double coat of Mod Podge and the turret sadly got kind of melted, and some back pieces here and some down pieces down here, so it got a little bit messed up when it came to the spray painting, and normally with Mod Podge I feel like that wouldn't happen, but for some reason it did. So from now on, whenever I'm doing a huge project like this, I'm just gonna hand paint it so I don't have to worry about that. But even still with that, I think it looks absolutely fantastic. A ton of detail in it, looks really good. Definitely some areas that make it look a little battle damaged, so it's okay that some parts are melted. It really doesn't bother me that much. I like that my turret can spin here. Hold on. It got stuck because the paint's fresh. But my turret can spin here. I might have to sand that. And I think that's really cool. That's pretty neat that this thing can kind of turn and spin. Then I also like that I gave him a little cockpit for the elite inside. And yeah, this was definitely my most detailed vehicle I've ever done, and definitely a really hard project. But yeah guys, that's pretty much it for this awesome Wraith, and I hope you enjoyed this video. It was a ton of work to make. I think I sunk like 12 hours just in making this thing, and it'll definitely be used in a lot of different dioramas, mocks, whenever it comes to the Covenant. If you guys want to see a banished Wraith, make sure you leave a like on the video and subscribe if you are new here, or just leave a like in general. It really helps out a ton. Definitely let me know what other vehicles you want me to do next, what you guys want to see next, and I always appreciate you guys all getting to this point in the video. Anyway guys, I'll see you all in the next one. Have a great rest of your day, evening, or night. Peace out.